哈喽，大家好，这里是豆豆总。今天我们要和 WPC 无线充电联盟执行理事进行独家专访。WPC 无线充电联盟是全球无线充电应用的主流标准开发组，成员公司超过350家。自2008年成立以来 ，WPC 为消费者和制造商构建了无线充电的未来愿景，实现便捷、安全、高效的无线充电，同时通过标准化测试，提供经过认证、可互操作的产品。如今 ，WPC 的Qi标准已经成为移动手持电子设备的无线充电全球标准。2023年的Qi认证产品出货量近6.5亿台。WPC 仍在不断探索无线电源的新应用，包括面向无线厨房电器的Qi标准。今天很高兴能够独家专访 WPC 执行理事 Paul， 他具有包括无线网络等多个行业转型的经验，为 WPC 带来了高度适用的独特经验组合。在标准领域，他曾担任多个机构的领导职务，并在过往经验中获得了全球商业视角。在无线、蜂窝、物联网、电缆和网络基础设施方面具有60多项专利。
Well, thank you for inviting me here today. I'm excited to give everybody in the ChargerLAB's family an update on our efforts at WPC.
目前Qi2是全球唯一商用的无线充电标准。那么Qi2最大的优势是什么呢？下一代标准将会有哪些方面的升级？我们请Paul给我们介绍一下。
And let's just start off with the fact that the Qi2 standard is a game changer. It is the fastest adopting standard that WPC has ever launched. In fact, as of today, 1 billion handsets are now Qi2 MPP compliant. There are 150 devices that have passed Qi2 compliance testing, with 350 more devices in the queue to be approved. So very, very successful. And there's a good reason why. Qi2 provides faster, more energy efficient charging, especially due to MPP, magnetic alignment. Because it's not just how many watts that you have in your charger, it's the efficiency of charging that counts just as much. So this is the big improvement that Qi2 brings out there. And of course, the value of the magnetic alignment experience, can't be underestimated. You no longer have the issue of hunting for a sweet spot or accidentally missing it and failing to charge your phone. It is, a really improved experience overall. So as for what our major initiatives coming forward are, we actually have a number of them coming out relatively quickly throughout the year. So first and foremost, there'll be a new 25-watt magnetic power profile standard that will come out in early 2025. So you can expect that. That will be followed by a higher power standard on the EPP side and potentially the MPP side, which is due out in 2026. 30 to 50 watts, we believe, will be what ends up going out there, but much higher efficiency than we had in the old EPP. So functionally, even higher wattage than just standard Qi1 at higher wattages. Finally, we have two other initiatives. One is in standardizing smartwatch charging. And the second one is using the magnetic ring to provide attachments that can be new accessories to phones. So we have a roadmap stretching out for the next 3 years or 4 years that's very exciting and is going to provide a lot of opportunities to our members and a lot of new products in the market.
在发布有关Qi2设备的文章时，我们收到了一些读者的回复，指出这些设备的价格有些昂贵。我们也发现，目前市场上已经获得Qi2认证的无线充电设备价格确实相对比较高，这可能是Qi2认证刚刚启动的原因。那么这些设备何时才会变得更平价呢？
Well, it's no surprise that new devices with new technology come into a market with a higher price than the older technology. This is true of every consumer device launch that you have ever seen. that old technology becomes discounted and new technology has a price premium. What we would expect is as the volume builds and more of the competition that I've spoke about, the further number of products come out, when there's thousands of products out, not hundreds of products, we would expect, like any consumer device, that the prices would decline as the volume increases. So this will have the same sort of cycle that you expect to see. There'll likely be a premium in the first year, and in the out years, there'll be ever greater reductions in costs due to higher integration and just general competition.
Qi2认证是2023年11月开始启动的，目前通过认证的设备并不多，而且每一个月通过认证的设备都非常有限。想了解一下，在未来有机会加速认证的速度吗？因为据我们所知，还有很多设备正在排队认证。
Well, at this point, and as of February, all 12 of our labs have full-scale certification capability and are going through certifications at a rate equal or higher to than we've ever done in Qi2. So I believe any loggerheads that we have on certification have been certainly taken care of. In addition, we have at least 1 billion smartphone devices that were able to be tested and then convert by over-the-air software upload and be certified. So there's 1 billion receivers out in the market. Of course, I've already told you there's 150 models that products that have already been certified with 300 in the queue, and we expect at the rate of certifications that between 1,200 and 1,500 devices will be approved by the end of 2024. So I think while there was a slow start and a ramp, which is to be expected with a brand new major release, that at this point, the issues that you allude to, I believe at this point have completely ended. So I think we have it taken care of. And we should see for the Mother's Day holiday season this year and for the end of year holiday season in 2024, we should see a massive number of sales, and we're projecting somewhere between 300 million and 350 million Qi2 chargers to be sold over this 2024 fiscal year.
目前使用Qi2标准的无线充电设备的充电功率为15瓦左右，有些读者认为这个速度较为缓慢。什么时候采用Qi2标准的无线充电设备，充电功率才能会变得更高呢？未来会升到多少瓦？
Well, this is a great question. There's a difference between the rated power and the efficiency of the power that you charge at. As I mentioned earlier, Qi1 on average was about 50 to 60% efficient. So a 15-watt charger could charge as low as 7.5 watts. A 30-watt charger as low as 15. Qi2 MPP forces magnetic alignment and has greatly improved efficiency on the order of 85 to 87% charging efficiency. So in fact, when we say 15 watts and we say Qi2 MPP, we're certainly getting much more delivered power, which is what counts the consumer, than is advertised. And as we discussed before, we have a roadmap now that will have a 25-watt MPP and somewhere between 30 and 50 watts of EPP and MPP delivered in 26. So in 25, we have the MPP power wattage boost, and in 2026, you'll also see the same thing across MPP and EPP, along with the other standards in watches and in add-on devices that we talked about earlier.
现在Qi2标准出来了，并且有诸多的设备已经通过了认证。那之前那些通过第一代Qi标准的设备，是不是就会被逐渐淘汰呢？
Well, all standards try to make sure that older generations of their standards are not obsolete, but they will not be as compelling or as useful to consumers. And eventually, consumers themselves will make the choice to get rid of an older version of a standard consumer device and buy a newer one for its improved capabilities and convenience. So we, just like any other standard like Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, we have backwards compatibility. But what you will see is the first generation devices will eventually, go, they won't be obsolete, but they will just go out of the market, and you will see most of the market, if not all of the market, be produced using the new generation standards, while the end of production of older generation standards equipment kind of goes on a discount pricing and is eventually out of the market. And of course, we do sunset the production of different standards as new standards come out. So there is a natural sort of ebb and flow of ramp up of production, stability of production, and then reduction of production to zero for any standard. And we'd expect this with the launch of Qi2. We expect Qi2 to completely dominate sales by the end of 2024.
无线充电技术的发展可能会受到Qi2标准的影响，未来Qi2标准会怎么样发展呢？
Well, we've discussed this a little bit previously, but it doesn't hurt to kind of look into it a little deeper. We obviously are talking about fast charging, and there are steps that we're taking along the way in 2025 and 2026 for 25 watt MPP, and then 30 to 50 watt EPP and NPP. And of course, key to those things are increased efficiency. They will also have authentication, so that as you increase the power, you want to make sure only tested devices work with tested devices. And the other innovations that are happening there are improved foreign object detection. As we get to higher and higher power, it's important we make sure that we're not heating foreign devices or causing any issues that could cause damage or harm. Of course, smartwatches are the other area that we are concentrating on in the near term. And in 2026, we expect that we should have a smartwatch standard that'll make it much more convenient for X and 1 chargers to have a single charging point compatible with most, if not all, of the smartwatches that are generally out on the market. Finally, we haven't talked about this, but the magnetic attachment really makes an incredible opportunity to build add-on devices, because the phone itself could power like for example, a very high-end camera, or a medical measuring device for somebody, or numerous other functions that you could add, and we can take advantage of the smartphone's very powerful stack, extra communication, and build a whole series of sub-products that would attach to all these smartphones that are taking advantage of Qi2 MPP. So we're gauging the interest in that, and it is only in a study period right now, but we see that as, essentially different attachments as an incredible market for our standard, and we're looking forward to exploring that further and seeing where our members want to take that.
苹果在不久前推出了 Vision Pro， 相信在未来 AR、VR 头戴式设备也会逐渐普及。在未来，无线充电在这类领域能够起到什么作用呢？
Well, WPC can't speak specifically to what Apple will do with the Vision Pro. But in general, we have multiple different consumer devices that use our standard. And for example, cases that charge earbuds, as we've discussed, watches. We would, and in fact, tablets, as we get to 50 watts easily, will be powered by Qi charging. So it will be no doubt that AR/VR devices, including headsets, will eventually have a Qi charging spot on them and use it for the same convenience that you have today. You're not plugging something in, there's no issue with cord breakage, you're watertight and you're sealed. These are the values that Qi brings as a standard, and we expect them to be even more important as AR and VR wearables come to the market.
目前市场上只有苹果的 iPhone 手机支持最新的Qi2标准，还会有哪些手机品牌加入？
WPC cannot comment specifically on the plans of any of their member companies. Only those member companies can speak to their own product development platforms, their product development decisions, and when they will launch specific products. That being said, there is an interim part of our standard, which is going to be Qi 2.01, which allows a sleeve of a cell phone to be able to make a standard cell phone with EPP compliant with MPP if the other software and hardware elements are updated to allow that to pass all the certification. And of course, there will be other fully compliant MPP phones from other vendors that do not need a sleeve as a way of making themselves compatible. So we see a number of things happening. Our standards process is accommodating them. And I suspect that as we exit 2024, there'll be a number of standard cell phones which are Qi2 MPP compliant.
无线充电技术已经在多个领域得到了广泛的应用，在消费电子领域推出Qi2标准，为厨电领域推出 Qi 标准，为轻型电动车推出 LEV 标准。在未来，无线充电技术还会在哪些领域有应用呢？
Well, WPC is always working to expand our standard and to apply it into different fields. Okay, and all these fields need the same thing. They need to interoperate. They need to make sure they are safe. They need to be able to identify that what they are working with also adheres to the standard. So we bring all of those capabilities to expand the standard. There is another issue, of course, that's important in any standard. You have to be able to solve problems that are large enough to create an ecosystem of test labs, test equipment, and other areas. So this kind of bifurcates the application of WPC standards into two areas. One in which we do identify those. Qi, electric cordless kitchen, for example, is going to launch later this year. And there's a complete roadmap of 2 or 3 releases for the next 2 years that will improve that Qi roadmap and expand it both geographically across the globe and in its applications across the appliance market. And we fully expect that 2025 will be a really good sized ramp of the Qi standard. Likewise, we're looking at light electric vehicles, e-scooters, e-bikes, low horsepower, electrically propelled transportation of different types. That wireless charging seems to be, and we'll have to see, we're in the early stages of development, seems to be a big possibility of improving and having smart charging and a lot less breakage of hardwired cords and other such issues that come with the bicycles and the fact that they're out in the weather and you need to bring them in and they can be dirty, they can be wet, they can be a number of different things. And then when you have higher power charging, you don't really want to plug something in. You could get electric shock issues. So LEV seems to be a real good idea for that. Beyond that, though, we've spoken of smartwatches, of course, and those consumer electronic devices and AR and VR. We do see that there could be industrial applications, but the industrial applications are likely to leverage our standard and some of our test equipment, but actually be custom implementations. So, as far as industry is concerned, most industrial applications are very, very unique. So it's hard to build a complete ecosystem around them. Of course, there's some things that we've never thought about. And those happen when members in our organization bring in an idea and ask the standard, could we please think about standardizing something? And of course, the board of directors and the memberships look at these. And if they have a good business plan behind them, well, of course, we will begin a standards efforts. And so it's hard to say. We already have a lot of things on our roadmap, but you never know when a new idea is coming in, and you never know where it will come from. And as a standard, we are always open to new ideas and new areas to standardize from our membership.
在推广和普及Qi2标准方面，还需要采取哪些措施呢？是否有相关的推广计划？
Great question, and a difficult one, because WPC is a standards development organization. Much of our advertisement actually comes from our members promoting their products that use the standard. We have a limited budget for promoting and popularizing the standard, and we do lay the foundation out as standards hit the market. We also attend 2 major trade shows in the globe. We look at CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, and IFA in Berlin. And we do those in order to continue to engage at a broad level consumers and the industry in areas where we see a lot of traffic. We also do have a website and we have social media, but in reality, our work as a standard really is a resource for our members to build their advertising upon. So while we sit down and make sure that there's a good awareness about the standards and our roadmaps and the certification we do and the fact that we're ensuring quality and we're ensuring safety, the bottom line is the largest buzz always comes from our member companies' advertising, and that has been exceedingly true in the launch of Qi2 at CES, where our member companies received numerous awards for new products and innovation and other awards that were at CES, and those were very important to get the buzz out about the standard launching.
无线充电技术涉及到的安全和健康问题是什么？目前在这方面采取了哪些措施来保障用户的安全和健康呢？
Standards exist to ensure operability. They also exist to ensure safety. And because we are transferring power, and because our technology can accidentally heat foreign objects, our standards and our certification take great pains in ensuring that foreign objects are detected and that charging is not executed when we see those. And furthermore, as we've increased the power, and as you see in Qi, we transfer up to 2.2 kilowatts, not just the 15, 25, and 50 watts that we'll have in Qi. This is fundamentally important because at those wattages, severe harm could happen to somebody if products don't execute foreign object detection and operate safely. And another part of that is there are always counterfeits in the market. So authentication plays a major part in what we do. Especially in Qi, from day one, a Qi product will not talk to anything but another authorized Qi product. With Qi, if you're unauthorized, you'll operate at a low power fallback. And that is very, very important because these are all things designed to ensure safety. And safety is job number one. There are no issues with the frequencies at magnetic fields with any kind of harm or any other issue that you might have as like a radiation level exposure, like worries that sometimes people have with RF and certain radio frequencies. So there's no issues there. The big safety issue, again, for charging, because we transfer power, is making sure no metal foreign objects are there to be heated, eventually heat up, and cause either burns to humans or to harm, whatever you're charging in, which can include your car. So we take a lot of work at that. That's one of the most important things we test, and we're extremely careful about it. And that is why Qi certification and Qi certification will be critical in the future. Now, I'd like to just wrap up with a thank you for inviting us to speak with you and your readers and viewers. And it's been a pleasure, having the opportunity to just talk about Qi and talk about Qi and just a fantastic roadmap and all the new things that are coming to consumers here over the next 2 years. We've had a knockout launch of Qi2. We expect Qi this year to be just as big, and we have a lot of improvements along the way. So we at the WPC want to thank our members, because all of the work that happens is because our members are so diligent in helping develop the standards and making things happen. And we want to thank our consumers. We hope we're developing standards, and we hope we're developing products that exceed your expectations and really make your life a lot easier. So on behalf of the WPC, I am thanking you all for taking the time to listen to our story and what we have to offer. Goodbye.